Well,
how others you think about Bergman in older space versus now?
Yeah. The obvious thing being that space really was put down in the late 1990s, and it spoke that all the way through to when we left. It hadn't changed very much, and this is, certainly projecting that more modern image.
Is that, do you think Bergman is or want to be?
Want to be. I mean, I'm not saying that we're not, but I think it's something that they're striving for. It's part of, constantly on other aspects you hear wanting to be a firm of choice for people to come to work, or
firm of choice for people to come.
Recruitment, that type of thing. I think that it plays a role in that. As much as it's having a nice space when the client walks through and they come to a meeting, and sometimes other than showing them around. And I think people are proud of showing them around. I've brought people in that have come for meetings, or both, I guess they'd be competitors, peers, and clients, and said, hey, look at, this is kind of cool, and people are looking at it. I got some other friends who are at other firms who they're doing a similar thing. They're moving somewhere, they're redesigning their space, and they've come in and get ideas from it. So I think, that part of it's true, but then on the other hand, being the place that looks like somebody wants to come and work.
Does it change that you want to come here? In the new space, does it change the fact that you want to come in more?
I like it. I feel very positive about it. I was a little skeptical, when we were making the move, like anybody would, going, it looks like it's nice, but something will get screwed up and it won't function well, or whatever, or something will be bad. But I think in general it's nice. I like the sunlight. I know that was a big, the right to light thing was a big deal when they were doing the design. But I think just in general, having that connection to the outside, even when you're just walking through areas. Our old space was a lot more enclosed, smaller windows on sides, and a lot darker.
Not everybody had windows.
Right. So a lot of people, they were facing. I started out that way. I worked my way up. Originally you could see the window way down here, and by the time we were finishing up in that building, I had a nice view of the river. But
it's funny how people work their way. It's academics true. You work your way. You start with the office with no window. We would never function in an open office. I mean, professors, and then you work your way towards an office which has a window. It's always like that.
Just thinking of it, because one other thing interesting, you're talking about that point, back to how one of the things that we talked about, and I had some conversations and getting informed for those design committee meetings that we had with some of our junior staff. We always thought that there wasn't anything wrong with having something for you to look forward to in that moving up. Because when they were originally planning the space, with the exception, again, of the highest managers, everything was going to almost be the same type of spot. We're like, well, somebody who comes in, even if you're starting out at your first year, you almost want something that you can look at, hey, if I keep doing this, I can get to here, or I can get to here. And having it all generic would have wiped that piece of it out. So we thought that there was some value in having some hierarchy in the design of the space, so that you did have
something
subconsciously
to work towards. So you do have some hierarchy here, a little bit.
We ended up with it,
So we'll talk about the hierarchy in a second. I want to go back to the Bergman's point of view. So attracting and retaining especially younger talent. Do you think that is helping or will help? And in what ways? We are interviewing people in different groups, and we will interview people from young professionals. So how does it help attract newer talent? Have you seen any evidence of that that's true?
It looks like it. It looks like, I see a lot of younger faces coming in, besides just the usual turnover that you would always get. I think it does. It'd be my perception. Just, again, because it's new and it's
I always wonder, is it a function that it's so new, or is it a function that it's the design function? So I don't know.
I think that's a good question, and I think in 10 years we'd know the answer, because some of the yellow stuff, what are we all going to think of that, whether it matters or not, in 10 years, and then how will that be perceived as new or old,
Right.
And that could make a difference in how people feel about coming younger and not. But
yeah, I've always wondered if it's in newness, and we were talking about it yesterday. Is it newness, or is it the design that's relevant. Could be both. So you have different layouts. Infrastructure, you have three groups. Infrastructures, from what we understand, and then you have buildings, and then you have administrative, sort of three in which people fall in. So the layout of infrastructure I've seen is slightly or a lot different than the buildings, which has architects. What does that layout say? Why did you choose the layout that you all chose? What does it say about you all as engineers? Because that's mostly all engineers, if anything.
Yeah, I think again it went to having privacy in your space to concentrate on tasks that take concentration, and while we'll go out, we'll talk with each other and have collaboration, and then we'll bring something back, and okay, now I got to do something with that.
Because it's isolation.
Execute it out. So I think that was just the big part of it. I think the distraction of having as much of an open space as some of those pods, we just felt wasn't going to be productive. It would make you less productive.
It would make you less productive because you're into problem solving, kind of. But designers and architects work differently, so it could be the function that they need that kind of space.
Right. What they're doing, if it's more constant evolving of different designs, more collaboration to it, I guess. I know that for a fact that was one of the things that drove us in our stuff was and it was everybody. People wanted to have some space that was their own that they could control and concentrate in when they needed to, and then go to the other spaces when you wanted to do the collaborative stuff.
And you have that flexibility now to be able to do that. Yeah, it's like I was telling the person we met before you, it's like moving professors into open space. That's not going to go well because you need space to work and concentrate.
So has workspace redesign influenced how you feel about your job, or how you feel about the company, and if yes, in what ways?
Well, it was certainly a refresh. I think it refreshed how I felt about coming in the morning. Besides just the newness, again, it's kind of the light and the spaces and stuff are kind of nice. I mean, we're still doing the same things. We're still dealing with the same issues. But one thing that I don't know if you're thinking about that, it's not interior to the space, but they did have that committee that chose the selection of the locations. I feel like there's a real difference, and it probably would be relevant to the younger people in attraction too. This area here is up and coming. It's growing.
Yes.
The activity that you see around is cool. I think that helps too.
I think so.
I've walked back down to past our old office to go to clients and meetings and stuff since, and it feels so different with just the vibe that's down there than what's going on here. I think that's a big part. It's probably that would be attractive too, to walk people in down where we were, certainly younger professionals, and say, hey, this is where you want to come work versus this environment is a big difference. And I feel it too. Like you want to walk down every once in a while.
Go to Branco.
I stare out my window at lunchtime and watch to see who's going up to food trucks and see what food trucks are out there all the time.
Yeah, they have food trucks right outside.
So yeah, I think I would say. Yeah,
it's one of the most upcoming areas of downtown Rochester. They're putting a lot of money in the city center to retain young professionals, which is nice. Hopefully it'll work.
So I think that vibrancy probably does play into some about how you feel about coming in.
Yeah.
So what did you hope was going to result from this new workspace? And do you think the design it's serving its purposes? Do you think those goals were achieved with the new design?
Yeah, I think areas like this common area are good. They're doing it. I think I feel because of the way things are situated, you probably see some more people, maybe more than we did in our old environment.
See more people.
More mixing and such.
So you're a project lead. As a result, because you see more, do you reach out to more different people than you would have in the past?
I don't think so. I think I would have found the people who I needed to work with. I found anyway.
I would have found anyway.
Yeah,
so that doesn't change.
And knew where they were, and we still would have got together. That part really.